Level 1, the Halcon. You are 14. Nobody recruits you with a speech. One afternoon in Los Mochis, Sinaloa, a man in a white truck rolls down his window and calls you by your street nickname. He hands you a cheap prepaid phone, scratched, one contact saved under Primo, she's, and gives you a single instruction. If you see police vehicles or military trucks on Carla Morelos between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m., text that number. That is the entire job. You are paid 600 pesos a week. In a house where your mother works double shifts and the electricity gets cut off because the bill arrives the same week as the school fees, 600 pesos changes the arithmetic of every Thursday. You tell yourself it is temporary. Boys stand on corners every day. 3 weeks in, Primo calls you directly. Good eyes. You're quick. You replay the phrase longer than it deserves. By the second month, you have 3 corners. You are placing younger boys at each one, teaching them the codes and the check-in schedule. You are 14 years old and you are running a small operation. Halcones, hawks, are the eyes and ears of the cartel. They are the most numerous rank, the cheapest to replace, and the most exposed when operations go wrong. You do not know this yet. Or perhaps you do, and you have decided it applies to the other boys. Your teacher asks why you have missed so much school. You say you have been helping at home. She writes in her notebook. You don't see what. That evening, you count 1,800 pesos on your bed and tell yourself you will stop once you have saved enough. You are still telling yourself this at 17. Level 2. The Soldado, you are 17. There is no announcement. A man you have never seen waits outside your house in a pickup truck. He drives you 40 minutes into the foothills of the Sierra Madre Occidental. In a clearing behind a cattle ranch, 11 other young men sit in a semicircle. No introductions. A rifle is placed in your hands. It is an AK-47. What cartel members across Mexico have called a cuerno de chivo, a goat horn, since the 1960s. The nickname comes from the rifle's curved banana magazine. It is durable, easy to operate across climates, and deeply embedded in narco culture. Roughly 63% of all weapons seized by Mexican authorities are AK pattern rifles. You learn none of this by being told. You learn it by handling one every day for 3 weeks in the hills above Los Mochis. The trainer says almost nothing. He demonstrates. You imitate. You learn to strip and reassemble the rifle under a minute. You learn to drive fast on unpaved mountain roads. You learn that the first thing you do when entering any building is locate the exits. This is not presented as tactics. It is the price of staying alive. You receive 8,000 pesos a month and a pair of boots better than any shoes you have owned. The boots matter more than expected. Your first assignment is guarding a stash house in the colonia south of the city. You stand outside a corrugated metal door for 10 hours at a time without knowing what is stored behind it. You do not ask. Asking is not part of the job. On your 4th week, a soldado from another rotation disappears. His gear is redistributed the same afternoon. No explanation. The rotation continues. You understand then what the training actually prepared you for. Not violence, silence. The practice capacity to continue as if certain things did not happen. At 17, you are already very good at that. Level 3, the Sicario. You are 21. You do not apply. You are selected. A senior figure in the organization watched you during a confrontation near the port of Topolobampo. What he saw was that you did not freeze, did not create chaos, and did not speak about it afterward. In the logic of cartel advancement, that combination is uncommon. They call it being recommended upward. You are pulled from regular rotation and assigned to a man known only as El Técnico, an alias like all names at this level. He is calm in a way that is not relaxed. It is controlled. He teaches you a different discipline. Not aggression, but method. You learn to surveil a location for 3 days without creating a visible pattern, to read a target's routine and identify when they are most isolated, to approach, act, and withdraw without a traceable scene. The work, he tells you once, is 90% patience. The men who fail reverse that ratio. Your first assignment comes with no name attached. Only a photograph, a vehicle description, and a parking structure in Culiacan on a Tuesday evening. You wait. The man arrives on schedule. He is older than expected. He carries bags from a market. You complete the assignment. You drive back in silence. That night, an envelope appears on the front seat of the parked truck. Inside, 15,000 pesos. No note. The silence is the acknowledgement. Over the next 18 months, you carry out 11 assignments. You do not drink. You do not use the product. El Técnico told you on day 1. The men who die young are the ones who confuse success with permission to celebrate. You call your mother on Sundays and tell her you work in freight logistics. She sounds exhausted. You send money every month. She stopped asking where it comes from around the 3rd transfer. You have built a clean division between what your hands do and who you understand yourself to be. That division is load-bearing. You already know what happens to the men who let it collapse. Before we go further, if you've made it this far, comment what you want next, hit that like button right now, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. We upload every single day. Level 4, the Jefe de Grupo, Cell Leader. You are 25, no ceremony. A regional commander calls you into a back room at a ranch outside the city. You are now responsible for 6 men, their assignments, their behavior, their reliability. If one of them steals, it begins with you. If one talks to authorities, the first question is directed at you. Within 60 seconds, you understand. The promotion is not an elevation. It is a transfer of liability. Your 6 men range from 17 to 29. 2 are solid. 1 drinks, making him slow and loud in the wrong moments. 1 is 23 and reckless. He escalates situations a patient man would let dissolve. 1 is 18 and eager in the way that young men are before they have seen what the work costs. The last is quiet, precise, and observant. He reminds you of yourself at 17. You keep him close. You begin approving assignments, managing payment distribution, and filing reliability reports upward. You learn quickly that leadership here is not about being the most feared combatant. It is about being the most consistently accountable person in the chain. 3 weeks in, the reckless one draws a weapon on a civilian during an extortion collection. A shop owner who pushed back verbally. The civilian survives. He reports it to you as necessary. You write your own report and make a decision. He is transferred to a unit in another state. You tell him it is a better opportunity. He believes you. You do not track what happens after the transfer. The drinker straightens out within a week of the other man leaving. Groups find their level quickly when one disruptive element is removed. You now manage 3 neighborhoods: collection schedules, safe house rotations, vehicle maintenance, communication security. You sleep in 4-hour intervals. You have a woman you see twice a week. She asks what you do. You say transportation. She lets it rest there. You are 25. You command men a decade older than you. No one questions it. Performance is the only credential that accumulates here. Level 5, the Jefe de Plaza. You are 30. A plaza is a defined territory, a city, a municipality, or a corridor along a major highway or port. Yours is a mid-sized coastal city in Sinaloa. Not large enough to draw constant federal rotation, but it sits on 2 major trucking routes and within 2 hours of a Pacific port. It is structurally important. You control the streets. The Jefe de Plaza is the cartel's local government. You set the peso, the territorial tax, on every criminal enterprise inside your borders. Street distributors, local extortion networks, unauthorized independent operators. All pay the peso or they are removed. You determine the rate. You determine the exceptions. You determine what removed means in each case. Money flows upward to regional command, and a portion returns to you. You now earn in a single month what took your father 3 years. You have a legitimate front, a refrigerated trucking company registered in your cousin's name. You attend municipal business association meetings. You shake hands with the local government's economic development officer. He knows exactly who he is shaking hands with. You both understand the terms without discussing them. Your relationship with the local police commander is professional, not personal. He calls when federal units are rotating in. You call when incident reports need to be filed without details that would trigger federal interest. Mutual dependency, more durable than friendship. But the environment is shifting. The Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the CJNG, was founded in 2010 from the remnants of the Milenio Cartel. By September 2011, they had announced themselves publicly with a massacre of 35 alleged rivals in Veracruz. By 2015, the US Treasury had formally sanctioned them. They recruit aggressively, pay above market rates, and use a level of public violence that disrupts the quieter arrangements the Sinaloa cartel has maintained since the early 1990s. 2 of your lookouts are found dead near the Western Highway, marking the edge of your territory. You request 10 additional soldados from regional command. What comes back is the men and 2 words: hold position. You hold position, but you sleep less. You trust fewer people. The plaza bosses who last do not expand the most. They generate the fewest problems that rise above them. Quiet is productive. Productive is left alone. Level 6, the Operador. You are 35. You no longer manage streets or armed men. You manage systems. An Operador sits between plaza operations and regional command, coordinating the logistics that make the cartel a functioning transnational business. Supply chains, transportation corridors, payments routed through financial intermediaries. You are the connective tissue, invisible, essential, impossible to rebuild quickly when it fails. You live in a gated neighborhood outside Mazatlan. Your neighbors know you as an import-export consultant. Business cards confirm it. Your vehicle is registered to a Sonoran agricultural holding company. Your children attend a private bilingual school. Your actual work: 3 trucking networks moving product through the Sonoran corridor into Arizona. A military contact who provides advance notice on checkpoint rotations. Payment flows routed through Casas de Cambio, currency exchange houses along the northern border. A money laundering method cartel operatives have used since the 1990s. 2 financial intermediaries managing cash conversion into traceable, legitimate income. You have not personally handled a weapon in 5 years. But the operator role carries a specific danger. You hold more information than almost anyone below the leadership tier. Schedules, routes, names, and vulnerabilities across multiple networks. The same knowledge that makes you valuable makes you catastrophic if compromised. A transportation contact in Sonora misses his check-in window, then again. Then his phone goes dark for 72 hours. When it reactivates, the voice that answers is not his. You reroute 2 active shipments, suspend 4 contact numbers, and file a compromise report upward within the hour. 3 days later, your superior confirms. Federal arrest, joint operation with the DEA. You are told his file did not carry your identification. You nod. You change the numbers again and begin auditing every link he touched. You are 35 years old. You attend mass on Sundays. You have maintained clean documentation across multiple identities for years. Not one of those facts means you have been safe. Level 7, the Capo Regional. You are 40. You oversee 7 plazas across 3 states: Sinaloa, Sonora, and portions of Chihuahua, including sections of the corridor running towards Ciudad Juarez and the El Paso border crossing, one of the highest volume land ports of entry into the United States. Beneath you, jefes de plaza, operadores, sicario cells, halcon networks, and a combined payroll numbering in the hundreds. You divide your time between a mountain ranch in Sinaloa and an apartment in Hermosillo registered under a third-party name. You travel without a fixed schedule. Security rotates every 48 hours. Your convoy shifts composition daily. These are not customs. They are protocols developed by watching what happened to men who established patterns. The Sinaloa cartel's institutional infrastructure traces to the Guadalajara cartel era, the federation built by Miguel Angel Felix Gallardo in the 1980s. When Felix Gallardo was arrested on April 8, 1989, charged in connection with the 1985 murder of DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena, the Guadalajara cartel fragmented. Joaquin Guzman Loera and Ismael Zambada Garcia took the Pacific Coast operations and built the Sinaloa cartel. Its political relationships, corruption, networks, and border arrangements were inherited from architecture built 40 years ago. You operate within that inheritance. You no longer receive orders. You receive parameters. You assess and direct. When you approve a shift in the Sonoran transit routing, the effects reach distribution cells in Phoenix, Albuquerque, and Salt Lake City within weeks. But the most serious pressure is internal. A capo managing expansion territory in Chihuahua has been collecting piso from operators in areas under your authorization and underreporting returns. The discrepancy in the first quarter is within error range. The second quarter, it doubles. You flag it through internal channels. A regional council convenes. You present the documentation. The Chihuahua capo is summoned. The meeting ends without a formal statement issued inside the room. You do not ask what happens afterward. Authority at this level is borrowed from the structure above and below you simultaneously. The organization always recalls what it has lent. Level 8, the lugarteniente. You are 45. There are perhaps 4 men at your level in this organization, possibly 5. The structure at the top is deliberately fragmented, distributed across enough individuals that no single arrest collapses the whole. You know this because you helped design parts of it. A lugarteniente occupies the senior command tier directly beneath the highest leadership. You receive strategic direction and translate it into organizational action across multiple regions. When leadership authorizes a new corridor through Baja California toward the Otay Mesa and San Isidro crossings, men at your level activate the resources, manage territorial negotiations, and absorb accountability for the outcome. Your personal security requirements are severe. No social media presence under any version of your name. No photographs in 8 years. Your wife and 2 children live in a country with no active extradition agreement with the United States. You speak to them twice a week. They have not seen you in person in 16 months. This protects them. You try not to examine how much of that you still believe. The DEA maintains a classified file on you. You confirmed this 3 years ago through a contact inside a US consular office in Western Mexico. The file has an operational code name you do not know. It is the only piece of information about yourself you cannot access, and it occupies your mind most consistently between 2 and 4 in the morning. The Mexican government runs periodic high-profile enforcement campaigns. Arrests timed for press visibility. Operations designed to satisfy bilateral pressure without disrupting the structural arrangements between the organization and elements of the state that have persisted for decades. You understand the mechanics of these campaigns at a level most observers cannot. That knowledge is not reassurance, it is weight. A fellow lugarteniente, a man you came up through the ranks alongside, is arrested at a military checkpoint in Sonora. His photograph appears across every national outlet within hours. Within 48 hours, you deactivate every shared channel, suspend every mutual contact, and rebuild your security protocols from the foundation. You feel nothing resembling grief. Cold, functional urgency, the self-preservation reflex that has kept you alive for 30 years, operating with no more emotional content than a smoke alarm. You have reached the second highest tier of one of the most powerful criminal organizations on Earth. You have never felt more isolated. Level 9, the Capo. You are 50. Your name appears in classified DEA briefings, restricted US Senate Intelligence Committee reports, and Interpol Yellow Notice files. You have not been clearly photographed in over 20 years. The images that exist, distant, grainy, could belong to more than one person. You have managed this deliberately across 2 decades. You hold significant autonomous authority within the Sinaloa cartel. You control pricing on major US distribution corridors. You maintain supplier relationships in Colombia, where your contacts trace to the network arrangements established in the early 1990s after the collapse of the Medellin and Cali cartels freed up their US distribution lines. You coordinate with chemical suppliers in China. The Sinaloa cartel relies on Chinese chemical companies for the fentanyl precursors that have become central to the organization's revenue since synthetic opioids surpassed heroin in US markets around 2016. You approve major strategic violence, not internal disputes, which are handled below you, but actions that alter territorial arrangements or send organizational level signals. You have not lived continuously in Mexico in 7 years. You rotate between safe houses in Central America, a legal residence in a South American country with no active extradition framework, and properties maintained under 6 verified identities across 5 countries. All managed by a former government document specialist who earns more in your employ than any ministry could offer. At 50, the history of the organization's highest tier teaches one lesson consistently. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman Loera was recaptured in Los Mochis in January 2016 and extradited to the United States on January 19, 2017. Ismael El Mayo Zambada Garcia, who had co-led the organization alongside Guzman for decades, was brought into US custody on July 25, 2024 at Santa Teresa, New Mexico, after being forced onto a plane by one of Guzman's own sons. Every name at this level eventually becomes a case number. You trust 4 people in the world. 2 are relatives. 1 you have known since you were 21 in a clearing outside Los Mochis with a rifle placed in your hands. The 4th is a lawyer in Mexico City who has not met you in person in 9 years. 4 people. You sleep well most nights. The fact that you do, given what your hands have authorized across 3 decades, is the thing that disturbs you more than anything else. Level 10, El Señor. You are 55. A decision was made. You were not part of the conversation. One morning, your security detail does not arrive. The encrypted communication channel produces no response across an 8-hour window. Late in the afternoon, an unknown number sends a single line. Resguárdate, stay hidden. You do not know the exact trigger. A compromised operative in the supply chain? A deposition that included your name? An internal realignment between factions? An agreement made at a level above yours that required a sacrifice deemed acceptable. The Sinaloa cartel does not operate as a rigid vertical hierarchy. It functions as a loose confederation of semi-autonomous factions. These realignments happen without announcement and rarely with explanation to the person removed. The organization does not move against you. You are too senior, too embedded, hold too many details across too many networks. A violent removal generates investigations more disruptive than you are. A quiet removal is cleaner. You are relocated to a property in rural Durango. Comfortable, secured, staffed by men whose faces you have never seen. Their loyalty belongs entirely to whoever authorized the arrangement. Your 6 identities go inactive one by one across the first week. Contacts across the network stop responding. The lawyer in Mexico City stops returning calls. Your successor, a lugarteniente you personally elevated from jefe de plaza 8 years ago, is briefed using your protocols, your routes, your contacts. He does not reach out. There is no version of this transition in which he would. You still wake before dawn. Someone leaves operational summaries for you. Reports that once required your signature, now signed by someone else. You walk the perimeter each morning. Your security detail is polite, silent, and rotates weekly. None of them hold eye contact. You were 14 years old on a corner in Los Mochis with a borrowed phone and a contact named Primo. You became a weapon, then a logistics system, then a territorial authority, then a regional command, then a name in classified files, then a strategic liability. Each transition felt like advancement. Each one narrowed the exits. The organization does not punish failure. It punishes visibility. Men who rise high enough become visible to too many people simultaneously. Governments, rivals, their own successors, to remain operationally safe. Removal is not punishment. It is maintenance. You were never climbing. You were being moved into position. And position in the end has always been temporary.